We are back for another, I guess you would say, a drama-packed episode. Which, yeah, that's where this show has been that's where the show has been pointing for a couple episodes, and I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of really cool sci-fi tropes that pop up in this episode too. Did any of them did any stand out to you, Mel?
There was a lot of stuff with the communication. Veer trying to get through to the communication and only being able to use a certain terminal to get to a certain call.
Oh, yeah.
I guess was it Franklin's explanations of the ships and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that part was really cool. The way that they were presenting the evidence, and they did it. It's not necessarily technobabble, but it gives you at least a reason why it's somewhat plausible in the world that they're living in, that they can find this stuff out. And I'm like, that is so cool. That is really cool. I guess the whole hyperspace thing, but that's been explored throughout this season. Mm-hmm. How to communicate through hyperspace has been a challenge. People have to jump and wait and watch. The blockades have been an issue. I thought that was kind of cool. It's not like warp where something can happen instantaneously.
Yeah.
What we've seen throughout this series is to move in hyperspace, it's a lot of energy and it takes time. And I think I like that a lot. It makes the space battles for Babylon 5 appear more like sea battles.
Yeah.
Ships and submarines versus airplanes like Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Trek is kind of like submarine battles, but it's becoming more airplane battle type lately, especially in Discovery and the new Star Trek. They look more action packed. Anything stand out to y'all in this episode?
For me, it was a really minor detail, but conversations with Jakar is always like so deeply poetic. It leans towards romantic. And when he was talking to Delenn about seeing her and the lack of his eye, just was like, oh my God, that's a little passionate for conversing with a married woman, sir.
Well, Jakar is very passionate, and I kind of feel like Jakar of all people is definitely non-monogamous.
Hello, let's go.
The actor seems to have a lot of he seems to be like a stage actor, and a lot of them do plays or act in or read literature that's from the Romantic period. I would see him very much liking the Romantic period, which in art, when you say the Romantic period for music and plays, is not a love romantic. It's a strong expression of feelings. So it could be anger, it could be happiness. It doesn't have to be romance. When we think of romantic, we think of romance, and he does everything that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So he is showing.
Okay, now that you mentioned that, I gotta point out too. I feel like everybody was on their A game when it came to expressing the emotions of the things that they were trying to I feel like everybody was on their A game expressing the emotions for their lines. This was a heavy emotional episode because there's a lot of heavy stakes with it, and we're wondering how torn up will this cast be, of our main characters. They've been teasing for a long time. So many people are going to be leaving the station and never coming back. And it seems like some of them just won't have the opportunity to. And it's really good. Even Zach, when we get there, Zach also just lays it on real heavy when he's talking to Garibaldi. And that just talks to the strengths of this cast. I think that the casting has been amazing. And I'm glad that they just didn't replace people. It's like if a person had to go, they just had to go. They couldn't replace them. They just had to find another character that could fulfill those objectives, but not not fulfill the person's place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, and that brings me to thinking about the current captain and how little of a role she
Yes.
is playing in all of this going on. Like, they casted a great new captain that now we just don't ever hear from or see or anything.
Yeah. Dang, y'all brought that up, and now it got me thinking, like, how many episodes has she not been there? I think 2, but maybe 3. But that's bad.
I was gonna say
She's
it
got
might
a
be.
lot of.
Huh.
It might
It
be
might
what?
be easier to, oh, sorry.
Keep going.
It might be easier to count the ones that she is in.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. This first part I think is really, it's just straightforward. It opens up with Sheridan and Delenn. They are extremely stressed. There's a lot of tension around what they got to do. Sheridan wakes up and Delenn is already out of bed and she's in the other room staring at a candle. And I love this because they're trying to be poetic about it, because the candle is on. You have the Great Council between the candle and the star. There's the land in the middle, but also it represents like the hope of peace in the galaxy, and she's watching it intently, but she knows what's about to go down. And Sheridan walks in. He's like, "Look, we got to go do this. uh, I'm a go, but I will be waiting for you." So they switch to the council meetings of the Interstellar Alliance, and they are ready to present the evidence that the Centauri Republic is behind all of the brutal attacks against the member worlds. And and Sheridan's like, "Look, we know that we said when we had concrete evidence, that's why they've been dragging their feet for so long. When we had concrete evidence, we're gonna show you what we know, and then we're gonna do what it is that you want to do as a result." They set it up to where people are ready to come in, but the people who are not allowed to go are Londo and Veer. In fact, they set up security to block them. And Londo's like, "Look, there's a council meeting," and Zach is like, "Yeah, but not for you.
Yeah.
You stay right here. We'll let you know how it goes." It's one of those things. Is like they let you know that this is where the tension is. This is where there's going to be a turbulent movement here, and here are the main players. And I feel like that for at least one total episode, security with Zach doesn't look incompetent. They are following their jobs. They have on helmets. They're ready to go to war. They're doing the thing that's important, and they're doing it in such a competent way. Bravo, team. In the council meeting, they are presenting the different pieces of evidence, and it's fantastic the way they do it. They have Franklin first. They have him in front of the council presenting the evidence, and they're talking about high energy weapons. This is the sci-fi part that we were having fun with. High energy weapons, lenses to focus energy, what it looks like on bodies when they get burned. The Centauri weapons are designed to explode, not to cut. And so all of the stuff that we got, especially with the dead bodies, points to Centauri weapons. And while he's doing that, they show Franklin go to Londo's quarters and hand him his testimony. And I'm like, that's actually a really powerful statement, because all of them, they may not like Londo, but they respect him. And so each of the people who are presenting their evidence, they're going directly to Londo.
Yeah.
The second person that they show is Garibaldi. He talks about the pattern of attacks, matches Centauri tactics. Sheridan is like, "Okay, that's a little subjective. Do you have anything that's a little bit more concrete?" Garibaldi points out how when he went to the Drazi homeworld, he was attacked and nearly killed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the attackers was wearing this, and he shows the button, and he said it was identified as part of the Centauri Royal Court uniform. And yeah, it had to be the Centauri. Also, when we figured out that the Centauri might be involved, we stopped inviting Londo to any council meetings, and all attacks, things that happened in the council, there were no more information leaks, and so all the attacks stopped. There's like, yeah, it's got to be Londo. Garibaldi shows up at Londo's and he hands him his testimony, and it looks, the way they have it set up is so dope because it looks so damning. Because Londo can't do anything but just take it.
Yeah.
For once in this whole series, all he has to do is sit there and take it.
That's what I liked about him not being in that council meeting and them giving him the information. So he's unofficially a part of this council meeting because he's very much a narcissist. And you can't present data and information to a narcissist because they're not going to let you finish. They're going to cut you off and tell you that they're lying and all this other stuff and play the victim. With
Right.
him not being in there, it gave them an opportunity to fully present the information to the people who needed all the information and then bring his ass in there.
In Londo's quarters, Jakar shows up and Londo's like, "Are you going to give me your testimony?" Which is like, "Are you turning on me?" Et tu, Brute. And Jakar's is like, "No, I will not testify against you. I'm going to be your escort to the council. So let's go." And they get there. They ask Londo, like, "Okay, we presented you all of our facts. What do you think?" Londo immediately dismisses it all. He tears up the papers and he just throws it all. He's like, we are victims of an incredible hoax. And we need to figure out how to get to the bottom of this. And Delenn is like, "I knew you would say that."
I thought it was very funny that the files were a hoax.
Right.
Uses that the files are a hoax.
The files are a hoax. The files that they've been collecting and hanging on to for such a long time. And they were waiting for concrete evidence to show that it was real. And Londo Mollari is like, it's a hoax.
Now that the files are released.
Now that the files are released and his name is all over it, it's a hoax. Who would do such a thing? But Delenn says, "I knew you would say that. So I'm bringing in our final piece of evidence." And it was Lanier. And Lanier talks about how he was stationed on Centauri border and he hitchhiked on one of the warships through hyperspace. And I thought it was kind of cool because the ships, they didn't look recognizable as any of the other species. But then when they jumped through hyperspace, there they are, just a bunch of Centauri ships blowing up and murdering people. And it was all on video, so you can't deny it. And Londo is just
I can't deny it. I'm a fucking rider. You don't want to fuck with me. Yeah, that was their theme song.
And so Londo is just sitting there dumbstruck. He's like, "Well, I can't talk my way out of this one right now." And Sheridan is like, "Okay, so check this out. Since we agreed that we would present this information and we were going to follow whatever the council wanted to do, here is what we are going to do. Full trade embargo and blockade on the Centauri Republic. Y'all cannot come into or go out of hyperspace. Anything that y'all do, we are going to head you off at the pass and turn you back home." And Londo is like, "You can't do this. You can't do this to me." Sorry, y'all. That's my poor attempt at Willem Dafoe from Spider-Man. That was an amazing scene, by the way. "You can't do this to me. I made this company." Anyway, go back and watch that scene. That scene is so great. Oh my God, he's such a good actor. All right, the stipulations are the embargo is going to stand until the Centauri government acknowledges and apologizes for their attack. Oh yeah, that's
Don't forget he immediately requested reparations because I was like, apologize? The fuck who care about them apologizing?
Right.
How are they gonna like resolve and recover the harm that has been done? So I was happy about that.
Because I think the timeout and an apology.
Man, because we both gonna have rainy days.
And 2 black eyes.
Right.
I think also, didn't Sheridan say that it was terrorism?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, there we go. Use that strong language. Don't be smacking people on the wrist. Punch them in the face. All right. So Londo and Veer, they're back in their quarters, still under guard, and they're anxiously waiting for the Centauri government to say something. and it is Minister Cellini. He dismisses all of the evidence. He's like, man, this is all part of a big fraud. They just staged this to make it look like it was us. It could have been the Narn. See, they're always doing things like this. And Lanier is just like, this don't make no kind of sense. I'm sorry. And Lando's like, that doesn't make any sense because they use Lanier. Lanier saw these things and he's very trustworthy. And they're like, aha, see, and that's what we think. They staged it because they knew Lanier was gonna be the one to stow away and see everything. This is all an elaborate hoax to make sure it looks like we did it, even though we didn't really do it. We'll let you know who really did it when we get back to you.
They're a little too fast with that. Like, no, you need to investigate your planet. Y'all got how many billion people? 100 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Scattered around the galaxy. Somebody did something. Maybe you should go find out instead of being like, nah, I want us. We're always hurting other people, but we did this one.
But that's Londo's defense. He explains like, man, we've given everybody our weapons. We don't know if that's really our people. And then he talks about that the Centauri Republic is withdrawn from the ISA, from the Interstellar Alliance, and they see that the blockade is an act of war. So if anybody shoots on us, you are declaring war, and we're gonna shoot back at y'all. So
Can't have an unrealistic expectation of the Centauri to take accountability because they still haven't taken accountability for the crimes that they committed against the Narn. They still treating them like shit and talking crazy to and about them.
Right. And then also Londo's response is like, you can't kick us out. We're leaving. You can't fire me. I quit. You know, that sort of thing.
That's funny.
And then he tells Veer, like, you stay here to be my representative. I'm going back home. Which, remember, Centauri homeworld is the last place that Londo wants to go. But now he's put in a position that no matter what, he's got to go. And this is, I don't know if I said this off air or at the beginning, but this is Londo having his, I would say, his nationalism, his speciesism, whatever you want to call it, his species chauvinism used against him, because no matter what, he's going to defend the Centauri, even when the Centauri are doing the absolute worst thing, which is starting yet another war. This is the third time these people started a war in the galaxy
Since the show has started. So that's what, since the show has started. Since the show, which has only been 4 years.
Wow, in 4 years you started 3 wars and you're trying to claim innocence. That's that sounds way too familiar. We'll leave American politics. It's not even American politics. There's 3 particular nations. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Maybe a side mission. So they're all getting prepared to leave. Jakar, he informs Delenn that he's gonna accompany Londo to Centauri Promise's bodyguard, and the whole thing is like, how are you gonna do that when he's telling y'all to stay? Basically, Jakar secretly bought his own ticket to go, but he's gonna be sitting right next to Londo, so he has no choice. And Jakar gives Delenn the final chapter of his book for safekeeping, and they share a nice little goodbye moment. Again, they keep trying to hint at like these characters not seeing each other, but I think that adds to the emotional weight of it. I mean, also since we haven't had any main characters die. Not really.
Technically. No. Well, technically, the first captain died.
I mean, yeah, he's technically dead, but he went like 1,000 years in the past, so.
And Sheridan died.
Sheridan died and came back. You know.
This is that 90s, the main cast can't die shit that Walking Dead did away with.
Right.
Game of Thrones.
They was killing all kinds of people.
You know what, though? It had to go back to like Sopranos, Battlestar Galactica, stuff like that. Ooh, there was another show that was it Lost?
Kids show. It was a kids show that did it in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was a movie from the show. Transformers, that's what
Well, yeah, kind of.
one character died.
One major character died.
What, Starscream?
No.
He died,
Spoiler
didn't he?
alert from a movie 40 years ago. Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime dies halfway through the movie.
But doesn't Starscream die too?
I don't remember. I need to rewatch it.
Which movie?
I
The
don't know. I just
Transformers
know
movie.
he died. What's the name?
One
Killed him.
died.
Optimus killed
But
him. I mean, what's the not Optimus, but the other one?
Megatron?
Megatron killed him.
Was it Megatron or Galvatron?
are you talking about the live action or the cartoon?
The-
Live action.
Oh,
No, we talking about the
no,
cartoon
we're
from
talking
the
about the cartoon.
80s,
Oh,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, back to the Babylon 5. Sheridan reaches out to Zach and he's like, I need you to find Garibaldi. And Zach, who has been, showing himself to be pretty good at his job, he shows up at Garibaldi's quarters and he's like, so, how's it going, Garibaldi? You look kind of like crap. And Garibaldi's like, what? No, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm just a little tired. And he's like, are you sure? Why don't you, catch this? And he throws an orange at him. Garibaldi completely misses it, drops it. He's like, yeah, that's no problem. I missed you. He throws the second one, and Garibaldi almost catches it, and it falls again. He's like, yeah, your eye-hand coordination is off. Man, you are drunk. Which is kind of funny because you could just tell, right? And
Yeah.
Garibaldi goes off on him. He's like, oh, don't you try to be self-righteous to me. Not a person like you. When you started this job, you had all kinds of problems. You're a piece of trash, Zach, and I took care of you. So don't you come after me trying to be all self-righteous and uppity. And it was basically his it was his alcoholism putting up that defense shield. And Zach is like, and he pulls out a gun and he puts on his head. He's like, whoa, what are you
I
doing?
think Zach did a really good job of being empathetic in this scene, even though it doesn't seem like it. It seems, quite aggressive to be pulling out a gun. But he makes an amazing point. It's like, yo, if you gon' fuck up and hurt people, like, let's do it real quick and minimize the casualties, because the path you're taking is gonna get a lot of us fucked up.
Right. That's when Zach calls out Garibaldi's alcoholism. He's like, look, you're an alcoholic and you've been down this path before. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt your friends. You're going to hurt everybody. And then this is when Garibaldi goes from full on attack mode to defense mode, like real quick, because Zach pointed it out. Garibaldi is drunk. It's not that he was drunk. Bro is drunk right now. Because remember, he was complaining about, you don't know what I go through on a daily basis. You don't know what kind of stress I got. And then when Zach basically flips the script on him, he's like, you're not going to turn me in, are you? Because if you do, I'm going to lose my job and it's going to ruin my life. I just need a little bit more time. He's groveling to Zach. I want to say bravo for this performance to both of these actors. Zach didn't come across as being melodramatic at all. He seemed serious. He just seemed like a hurt friend,
Yeah.
And he was prepared to he was prepared to just deal with the consequences that day. And Garibaldi looks like he was about to lose
what is
everything.
his girlfriend's name? She could definitely learn something from Zach. That's how you support a friend. Not that bullshit she was doing. Like, don't drink. And now I'm going to drink in front of you. Are you going to not do what I told you to do, boy?
Lise, yeah. Lise is a terrible, toxic human being.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are absolutely right. Well, she is the gold now.
Yeah. She dug enough that she found her gold.
Yep. So
I do have a problem, though, with Zach enabling his friend. You clearly see that there's a problem, and you know the danger of the threat. And if you're not going to snitch on your friend, better checks and balances needed to be put in place to ensure that he doesn't do what's going to come up later in this episode.
Right. So Zach is like, all right, you got to take care of this. He doesn't rat him out, which I don't consider it ratting somebody out if you're trying to like prevent the entire Interstellar Alliance from falling because of a mishap of an alcoholic. You know what I mean? That's not snitching. That's taking responsibility. Anyway, so Sheridan talks to Garibaldi, and the whole thing is he suspects that the Centauri are going to test the blockade, and what Sheridan wants to do is make sure that as soon as the Centauri show up, that the White Stars are able to communicate that before they come through the gate. So then they could tell the Alliance to wait until the Centauri fire first. Because they don't want a shooting war if they don't have to. They want to wait until the Centauri fire 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So Garibaldi, he's looking very intently. He's listening. He shakes his head and he goes, "You can count on me." Great last words, bro.
Not, hey, can I have somebody like help me watch over this? I've been pretty tired lately. So we need to have 2 people on this to make sure whatever the hell.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he's trying to let all of the stress and the weight of the galaxy rest on his shoulders. Because, I mean, there is his alcoholism. There's also his denial to think that he can handle it. And we've seen several episodes where he's addressed like, no, I need to do this my way. I need to do this my way. But he's not in control. He's an alcoholic.
Right.
And so some things are going to happen that are going to cause him to stumble.
And that's the only reason why the ships have to tell him. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you go straight to Sheridan if his job is only to tell Sheridan?
Right. Exactly. Right. And there's a chain of command. There's an order of operations, all of this stuff. And it looks like we got one of the chains that got a king in it. Yeah. A weakest link. So Londo and Jakar, they arrive on Centauri Prime, and they're stalled because the Minister Chiloni is like, look, there's a time and a place for everything. Y'all chill out. Y'all just hang out. We'll let you know what to do. And he also kind of he also disrespects Jakar. He's like, you guys go to your quarters. Maybe you'll take a shower or something, And Jakar's like, no. It's a natural musk. It's the way that I smell. He's, What'd you say?
He said, I like it.
Yeah.
He likes trolling them. Kind of being racist. He just trolls them.
Yeah. Which it does bring up a thing that is very seldom brought up on sci-fi. I've heard it mentioned on a couple of occasions with Star Trek. But what do people smell like?
Yeah.
I remember it was Enterprise where T'Pol is assigned to the Enterprise, and they're like, how can you stand the smell? She's like, you get used to it, which if you think about it, yeah, people got a smell. So each of the different aliens probably have different smells, and probably not all of them are very pleasant.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, I don't know if I brought this up before, but each of the planets probably smell different too.
Most definitely. Also, they would emphasize sometimes where Vulcans have stronger senses than us.
Yeah, true. Good point.
So that's why humans smell too.
So they got to wait for the Regent. While that's going on, the first test of the blockade begins to happen. The Centauri ships, they are exiting hyperspace. The White Stars, they alert Garibaldi. And what is Garibaldi doing? Can one of y'all tell me what Garibaldi's doing?
Oh, that dude is face first deep in a pillow. He was sitting in a chair, but he was out of there.
Yep. And there's still a half glass of liquor. Still. just hanging out there.
That frame was nice though. The way that they like panned down into the glass
Yeah.
to show and not tell that he's passed out drunk.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Liquor.
here's a couple of things. So Garibaldi drank before he met with Zach. So that means he probably drank before he went to that meeting. And he was probably fine up until he finished, and then the alcohol started to really affect him on his metabolism. And he got agitated after Zach confronted him, and so he probably drank again, which means he thought he was going to be okay, but he's already got that stuff in his system. He already has alcohol is a sedative, it's a depressant. So it's putting him to sleep, and he thinks he's going to try to ride through it until the signal comes. But nope, bro went straight to sleep. Also, his tolerance is probably off, so he has to drink more,
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
what is he thinking? Like, aren't
he's an
there uppers
alcoholic.
and downers? And so,
Oh,
what are
yeah,
the things
that's
that
what.
they could be taking to?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what Zach
know
even mentioned.
about
He
drugs.
said
Okay, so there we go. Yes.
he called them oxy pills. They are uppers, and I bet you he forgot.
Mm.
Mm. Well, also,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not strong enough to counteract the alcohol.
Yeah, because you're not just counteracting chemicals, you're counteracting the way the brain is functioning under the influence of those things. And it's not like instantaneous flip a button and it turns off. It's like it has to go through your system, it has to metabolize, it has to do a lot of things. And yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't know about any of that, but I've been hearing that people who use meth, it keeps them able to focus for fuck ever. And maybe they didn't have that on Babylon 5.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, that
So
other stuff that made you psychic.
oh, the dust. Yeah.
The dust. Yeah. Dust, spice, what are we calling it now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So while they try to get in touch with Garibaldi, they're like, screw it, we're gonna engage. We're gonna engage. Somebody send this to Sheridan right away. And when they try to, they jump through to try to tell the Alliance ships, like, hey, hold your fire and wait. Them dudes do not listen. They immediately jump into action and start firing at the Centauri. So the shooting war that Garibaldi promised wouldn't happen, that Sheridan is like, we got to get in front of this. That's exactly what happens. Sheridan and Delenn, they're woken up by Alan telling them, like, hey, this thing is escalating into a shooting conflict. And now we got to make a decision. Veer is frustrated, and I thought this part was great because Franklin busts into his quarters, and he's like, "Oh, there you are." And Veer's like, "What do you mean? I had to be in these quarters because this is where he's like, don't even worry about that. We need to move you now." And the reason why is the Precari and the other Alliance races, they trying to find him and beat him up because they want to blame the Centauri for everything that's happening, and the only Centauri they can get their hands on is Veer. And it's like, we got to move you now. And so they start to move him, and they run into some Precari, and they're all upset. And basically, Franklin is able to help get them out of that situation and escape. And we don't have a dead Centauri yet. Back in the council chambers, the chambers erupted, the outrage over everything that's happened. And Sheridan, he just burst out. He's like, look, y'all don't want peace. You say you want a war. Well, if you want a war, that's what I'm going to give you.
I liked when they were all pushing and shoving and yelling and screaming. One of the alien species stepped to Delenn. So when somebody tried to step to her, not like she can't take care of herself, he stepped in, and the look on his face was like, back the fuck up. You can do all that talking and shit from over there, but you just take one more step. He was going to lay that dude out. I was like, oh, I felt that through the television. He was so serious, but the president is very much
Sheridan.
right. that none of them wanted peace ever. They had to be manipulated into it. So he should be
You cutting out.
surprised in this moment.
Hey, you're cutting out. You're cutting out because you're disconnecting from the Wi-Fi. So if you disconnect from the Wi-Fi first and then talk. Are you okay?
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
We can hear you now. So you were saying something about Sheridan. They had to be manipulated into peace.
Yes. It's not surprising that they wanted war because he's absolutely right. They didn't want peace. They had to be manipulated into it. So it most definitely is not a surprise that at the first opportunity they got, that they just go back to throwing blows at one another. And I don't really even know like what the solution would have been other than trying to create some kind of interdependence on them, more so than just the threats of if one of y'all start fighting, then the white stars are going to have everybody else's back. More like you've got to get your need for food from this alien species, and you're going to need to get your whatever the livelihood requirements are, try to connect them with one another so that they have a reason to cooperate outside of the manipulation. But they really didn't even have enough time to put that together because the Centauri was never wanting to be a part of the alliance in the first place, and they just been trying to get back on they narcissist bullshit from the jump.
Yep. Yep. Um. So Veer tries to urgently contact Londo and Cholini, but he's told that the Centauri leadership is unaware and unavailable. In other words, they're pretending to be communications like all blackout.
Mm.
Um,
Are we sure that he ain't dead? Because he can't seem
who
to be available to talk to nobody.
who
Who?
the ambassador the regent. That's a good
Yeah.
question. Like, bro could just be rotting in his chambers. Yeah, they haven't been able to find him for like quite a few times they've been down there. So that's a good
Yeah.
point.
And for him to be the prime minister and not be able to do anything,
Mm.
right? And don't know
Um,
nothing. Like you can't have this information. You're just the prime minister. Like how all these other people know?
yeah, yep. Um, on Centauri Prime, Londo is awakened by Cellini, who updates him on the hostilities, and he basically says, "We need to move you." And since Jakar is still kind of a member of the Interstellar Alliance, he can't come nowhere near you. He's under arrest. And Londo's like, wherever he goes, I goes. So then both of them are put in prison.
He's like, they're not gonna put me in prison.
Put him straight in
The
prison.
scene in prison. Yeah.
And the show then goes to it kind of moves full circle. Uh Sheridan joins Delenn and she's meditating on, again, watching the candle. And they're meditating on the whole thing that's going on. Delenn is extremely poetic here. She reflects on life's fragility and how beings forget their shared existence. And they're talking about how things are just divided right now. And as she finishes, the camera pans back down to that candle that she had at the very beginning, and the candle's flame extinguishes. It's very poetic how they set that up because it's, to me, it kind of represents the hope that they had, and now they're in a moment where that hope seems to be extinguished.
Yeah. And a
When,
bunch of lights are going out. Like he's
yeah, when she explained how we're all molecules that are stardust and we're all interconnected, that deeply resonated with me. And completely off topic, but earlier today, I saw an advertisement for a candle that when you pour it on yourself, the wax doesn't harden, but it's just body oil that when you burn the wick, it melts the oil and then you rub it into your body. And so if that candle was an actual representation of all of the beings like throughout the universe that are interconnected, if and when you melt the candle and you use the wax to moisturize yourself, that it's keeping that circle or loop together. So like for a religious belief system in a sci-fi metaphorical method, I thought it was pretty amazing. If they were to be using that type of candle to make that kind of closed loop.
Kind of like the energy that one puts out can be beneficial to someone else. Just that
Yeah.
the light is the energy that someone lets out, and the oil that melts, it can be a benefit to someone's moist skin.
Oh, and then there's the physics behind just because the wick went out doesn't mean that the vapor is gone. So if a spark comes in contact in a quick enough fashion, the candle will relight.
Mhm.
Hello, maybe that's how we got Sheridan back.
Yeah, he did. His candle was reignited, but only for a short while. Yeah.
Oh
So
man.
we've ended the episode because we've ended the episode in a place where we are basically on the precipice of another war. Londo is completely out of the loop, but it's not because it's not by his choice. It is so many other forces at work. Um, I'm not gonna pretend that Londo is not guilty though, because he keeps putting himself in positions of defending the atrocities of the Centauri Republic, and bro just needs to stop.
I was
Uh,
about to say something that's not that it hasn't happened yet. But
okay.
I'm like, it's kind of his fault. Right now, it doesn't look like it's his fault, but it really is.
Oh yeah, it is his fault. He started it. Um, Garibaldi has fallen completely into failure. He is no longer able to he's no longer able to manage his alcoholism, and his strong personality is preventing him from doing anything healthy. And okay, so this is where I do want to show empathy. I always talk about how awful this character Garibaldi is, but now we're being shown how much of an influence and uh how much of a role and in control his alcoholism has, and he's such an alone person. He hasn't had any way to cope with it in a healthy way, and anyone and everyone in his life that he cared for deeply, he keeps doing things to turn them away. And so the empathy is he can't control himself. The part that I don't forgive him for is everyone that comes to him to help him, he turns away, and that's his own fault.
You know what? When you were saying that, it made me think about how if Ivanova was still there, like she's also
Oh
a
yeah.
loner, but she's a healthy loner, and she may have been able to talk some sense into him a little better than anyone else could because they do relate so well. Well, because they are so similar in that way.
It's a very good point. Um, I'm so annoyed with the lack of presence from our captain. Like, the fuck is she at? And why was the White Star like not making a second in command chain call? So I don't know how Garibaldi got tasked with the duty of receiving that phone call, but it kind of feels like it should have been coming straight to the captain anyway.
He's the head of
It is security.
intelligence. He's the head of intelligence. It's like that's literally his job. He's supposed to be the first to be contact, and then get in touch with the president. The president is supposed to make decisions after the information is presented to him. But Garibaldi fucked it all up.
Yeah, if he was still the commander, then it would make sense for the captains to it would make a little more sense for the captains to report to the commander. But since
Hierarchy
he
makes
has,
no sense to me, and that's probably why I can't make it make sense.
well, like that's why I said earlier that it seemed to me like they were reporting to him so that we could have this exact plot, so that
Yeah.
we
Oh
can.
yeah. Absolutely.
It's totally built up so that we can further the whole alcoholism thing and bring
Yeah.
some bigger stakes than uh dinner with your ex.
Yeah. Well, and it also like Garibaldi always seemed like he was on the edge the entire time. The being manipulated by Bester, which okay, I can see him being driven to want to cope with that with the drink, and with nobody ever wanting to follow up and try to like achieve what you call it justice.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a it it's one of those things like you see how he feels powerless and wants to take control, but his friends, especially Sheridan, putting so much trust and responsibility on him and giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It's like maybe I'm not an alcoholic. I haven't had any addiction issues, so there are some things that just don't make sense to me. And I think that's the point. It doesn't make sense. It's not something that makes sense because it's not something that we can like make rational sense out of. It's an addiction. It's gonna put you in a position to make illogical decisions. It makes perfect sense to the person that's under the influence,
Yeah, I think.
but to I'm sorry, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's a lot like cognitive dissonance. Like technically, he knows that it's bad because he obviously went through several years of being sober, but also he doesn't have the strength to deal with what he's dealing with, so he escapes. And once you start that feeling of escape, you just want to stay in it. And he still feels like he can do his job and escape all the issues that he's gone with. And the a lot of people, especially in real life, they don't see mental and emotional pain and hurt as something that needs to be dealt with. Like we can deal with the physical stuff, but we don't, like in Star Trek. That if something like that happened, you would need to have a release from a doctor before you went back on duty. They went and gave this motherfucker a new job, but
You know
Not
what?
even a
I'm
new job, but like one with even
a better
more
job.
responsibility than he had
right.
before.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. And I think this is something cool that all of the shows are doing. But it's something we got to pay very close attention to. It touches on our values as Americans, as Westerners, that while relationships can be broken and mended, a person's connection to their job is the end all be all of their life. Remember, Garibaldi was like, he told Lise, like, you need to leave. Right. And when after she confronted him with about his alcoholism, she's like, you need to leave. Granted, it's because of the war coming up. But his whole thing was like, don't bother me, don't hassle me, let me get you out of here. Yada yada yada. When Zach was like, I need to report you, he was like, no, please don't. I'm gonna lose my job. My whole life is gonna be ended. It's gonna suck. It's like, your job
Really?
isn't you. Your job is not you. But it's the same thing with Star Trek. People's
Mhm.
career are like the highest thing that they could achieve in life. And so they'll do things that are not healthy. In fact, look at look at Star Trek and look at the things that people have done that threaten their careers. Barkley would pretend to be a big shot um in the holodeck with the main bridge crew, and they found that just like terrible. It's like, bro, just you don't have to pretend. What was it? Jordy and oh gosh, I can't
Oh,
remember the name of the doctor.
engineering. It was a,
I'm
she
sorry.
was the engineer that designed the
Yeah,
part that he was working on.
and they were pissed up. She was pissed about that, and Jordy is a creep for that. Picard this is all right. I have a little issue with Picard being assimilated by the Borg, and then they gave him a vacation. They're just like, "Yo, just chill out, but you can go back later." Uh, but then he got his job back
Mhm.
because I mean, granted, it's a TV show, so we got to do that. But being a captain was what defined him, and I think there would have to be some major. How is it? There would have to be some compelling story that could help us shake that, because in real life you can lose a job and go get
Well,
another one.
I think that's back to the 90s cinema aspect of it, because in Discovery, hello, she went
Oh yeah, she
from
went.
being number one to being a fugitive
Yeah,
to, having an acting role to being the captain to being demoted again. She was all over the place, or maybe that's because she's black and a woman.
she went to.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna tell you
parts of it.
100% is not,
I,
because she
I mean,
started a war.
well, I mean, it mimics what Black women go through in America, but in a world where people don't discriminate against race, unless you're Jim Hadar.
Right, but come on, y'all. She dis. She
She did start a
she
war,
she
like
she she started a war and got her
she had
captain
a
eaten.
mutiny. She mutant. She had started a mutiny and the war with the Klingons, which was one of the most traumatic things in all of Star Trek history.
Yeah,
One of just
one of. And then she also wasn't under the influence of drugs. She had a gut feeling. Uh, yeah.
But she
I,
was right. Her intuition was spot fuck on.
her intuition was on, but it started a war. Like, yeah, I don't know. But also maybe we can talk about. So we're gonna do a review of Starfleet Academy when that comes out, uh, which is gonna be a lot of fun. And maybe we can talk about the issues with Starfleet in general, and just point out some of the different issues, because Starfleet is just like all of these other powerful governments in all of sci-fi. They only are there to stand in the way of your main character. That's it. That's all they do. So if Starfleet Academy agrees with you, they do it off screen through a paper. But if they don't like you, they send like admirals and everything to stop you. They try to replace your captain. They reassign your first officer. You know what I mean? They send you to prison. All of those things. Um, so I don't know. That's a sci-fi trope too. It's just like the Interstellar Alliance. They don't agree on nothing. But anything they do agree on, they just kind of do it off screen. Then Delenn, Jakar, and Sheridan, or Londo, are the ones that represent how cool things are.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
if that's just like them integrating the military into it too. Because like Starfleet isn't exactly military, but there are military aspects to it. So, especially like with things like rank and order and stuff. So maybe someone who knows actual military stuff could answer those questions a little better. But then you can't have you got to have some type of order when you're doing an organization like that. You got to have order. So things have to fall within certain orders, and we clearly see people like Michael who clearly did something she wasn't supposed to do, and things have to be in place for that. Like we can't just let things happen, right? Like things happen now.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the
I
reason
do
I
have
had brought her up is because in the older uh times when these shows are being created, it's not something that you can allow to happen to a main character. So they would even sometimes introduce a character to an episode, and when you see a new person, you already know they about to fuck up or die.
Yeah.
Because that can't happen to a main character, but the further that we're coming into things, I guess in the 2020s or wherever the hell we are in time, it's more acceptable for a main character to suffer real life consequences.
Yeah. Well, like on the other hand, too, on the fourth wall aspect of it, back in the older times, people could be on a show and actually be on it long enough to get benefits and stuff. So now that they're cutting off
Yeah.
these actors as soon as they have to pay them benefits, it's okay for us to just kill them. Like the people will like it. We don't have to pay them. Like
Yeah.
or just have go or send them off to jail or whatever. All these consequences that can and probably should happen, they can freely do it because now they're also not paying that actor that takes on that role of the consequence.
Yeah. So speaking of consequences, we will see how the fallout of this is going to look next episode. And there's a lot because no matter what, I feel like no matter what the Interstellar Alliance, the council, all those ambassadors, they're just obstacles. So we'll see how they get dealt with. We'll see how Garibaldi gets dealt with. And we'll see how the Centauri get dealt with. So we got a lot to look forward to. Oh yeah, I guess we get to see whether or not Captain Lockley shows up for work for once.
Yeah, well, and this is the Interstellar Alliance issue. So she only does the Babylon 5 station issues. They just happen to
True.
be on Babylon 5. So she's not technically a part of any of this as far as what her character's responsibilities are.
Yeah, responsibilities, but I don't know. I just want to see her tell Garibaldi off again.
Oh.
So, yeah. Yep. All right, let's get ourselves out of here. Thank y'all for joining us for this edition of Voices in Hyperspace. You can be sure to catch us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And follow us on all of your favorite streaming services. We are at Voices in Hyperspace. You can find me, Legendary Black Lion, on Instagram and TikTok. And I swear, I promise I'm working on some stuff to make all those things pop for y'all. Just be patient with me. Find me at Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Mel Asylum. You can find me at melsrebellion.com. And you can find me on TikTok as Mel's Rebellion. And I go live on Saturdays. You can come actually chat with me.
Yeah.
You can also find my books on Mel's Rebellion.
Yes.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday. You can find me at a poker table.
So until next time, we'll see you out there. Peace.